I'm Vicki West, here with my daughters. Welcome to Homestead Blessings.
Today we're excited about showing you how fun and easy making soap can be.
I've made soap for many years now, and I've passed the skill to my daughters.
And we've just fallen in love with it.
Long ago, soap was made in every household. It was a long and involved process.
But today, with just a few simple ingredients and a few easy steps, we can make soap wonderfully and beautifully right at home.
For friends, for family, even for a home industry.
Soap making is a wonderful project for mothers and daughters to do together.
So, Mom, let's get started.
Let's go. Now we're going to show you how you can make a wonderful soap like this. We call it a cold process, and it's a very, very simple recipe. It's a basic recipe, and you just need simple ingredients, and that's what we're going to do right now.
The first thing we've done is gathered our supplies and ingredients and prepared our work surface with craft paper, newspaper, in a well-ventilated area. With an open window, you can even make this outside.
Now our supplies, we'll need a pot, a stirring utensil, and I use a spatula. Remember too that you probably want to use this and save this just for soap making. So we have our pot, we have our stirrer, our wooden spoons, we have a wonderful tool here which will speed up the process a lot more, and it's called a stick blender, and you can get these at most department stores or maybe even a soap making supply catalog. So we have simple tools here. You might want to use a scale to weigh your soaps and your oils, and you might want to have some vinegar on hand because vinegar will actually neutralize any lye splashes you might get. Hopefully you won't. Be very careful. But if you do, all you do is splash on that vinegar, and that will help neutralize any lye or caustic substance that might get on your clothes or your skin.
All right, you also want to have your container ready for the soap that you're going to pour in here when it's ready to pour. We have a plastic storage container here. It's about 17 by 11, and we're going to grease it real good. You can also use a cardboard box, and you can line it with plastic, and you want to have something to put over it to keep it warm for a while.
Yes, you want your soap to cool slowly because by cooling it slowly, it's going to saponify and blend. If it cooled too fast, it might separate. So you want to have a lid to put over it after you pour it, and maybe even a blanket too, so it insulates it really nice. You want to have these ready before you start mixing your soap.
And where would you put your pan usually, Jasmine?
You want to have this in a place where it won't be disturbed for a few hours up to a day. Okay, now we've gathered our supplies, ingredients, and Hannah's going to grease the mold for us. And we're going to start making this soap. Our ingredients we have is liquid, we have fats and oils, and we have lye. Now what we've done is we've measured our liquid. We have 4 cups of water, and it's at room temperature. If we were going to use goat milk, we would want it cold, and you can also use herbal tea, but you want 4 cups. We have 48 ounces of shortening. This is just vegetable shortening, and this is very easy to get. We have 32 ounces of coconut oil, and we have 16 ounces of olive oil, and these have all been carefully weighed. And then very carefully we have weighed our 12 ounces of lye. Remember, lye is a caustic substance, so you want to be very careful, even wear gloves when you're measuring it. Okay, now we're ready to mix the soap, and Mom, I'm going to let you hold the stir.
All right.
The first thing we're going to do is take our 4 cups of water and pour this into our mixing pot. And then we're going to very carefully take our 12 ounces of lye. And we're going to very carefully pour the lye into our water. And then we're going to stir it.
Back.
Yeah, step back. You don't want to breathe. This is going to fume. And this is going to get very hot. Usually it takes about 30 seconds to a minute for that lye to dissolve in the water. And it's warming up already. And you want to very carefully and slowly stir this so that it doesn't splash or anything.
I've got my vinegar here though.
Got the vinegar, and then flush with water after you do the vinegar if you do get any spills.
Ooh.
And see, it's steaming, it's getting hot.
Now we don't want to breathe that at all.
Okay, I think that's dissolved there. And now we're going to start adding our fats. And I like to start with the hardest oil, which in this case is shortening. And I've kind of let these warm up to room temperature, you know, so they're not rock hard. So we're just going to very carefully start putting in little chunks at a time, maybe 1.5 cups or more, while Mom is stirring.
I'm going to stir. I'm stirring.
I'm going to
Stirring.
scoop up some more.
Okay.
And this is just a very, very easy way to make soap. Cecilia and Hannah are going to go get ready for another project, and we thank them for their help.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're just going to continue to add our shortening while Mom's slowly stirring. And remember, we're just adding this in little bits at a time and stirring while it melts.
This lye and water is still nice and hot to help the fats melt.
I'm going to scrape the last of the oil here, last of the shortening. And we're still stirring and blending our ingredients.
Now, we could use a stick blender, Jasmine, but it is optional, right?
Yes, it's optional after we blended all our oils in. It's optional whether you use the stick blender or not. You could just continue stirring with your wooden spoon or your spatula, but the stick blender does speed up the process.
It's really white and creamy and kind of lumpy from the
Yeah,
the
it's starting to
fats.
change. It's really neat how it changes from liquid to creamy. You know, it's making soap when it does that.
It's really amazing. Okay, that's almost all of that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we'll start adding our coconut oil. This is the 32 ounces of coconut oil.
All right. Okay. Let me help you there.
And this is just at room temperature. See how it's
really
soft enough
pretty.
to scoop, and we just continue stirring, Mom.
There we go.
And these are going to just melt in there. And pretty soon we'll have soap. Just a slow, steady stir is the best way to stir. Yeah, you don't want to splash, so you do want to kind of go slow and steady. Don't want any splashes, because that would burn. But you have your vinegar ready if that
Ouch.
happens.
Right.
Sometimes what I like to do is take your spatula and just kind of break up some of those chunks while you're stirring, or in between stirring, you can just break up those chunks and so it'll melt faster. Kind of smush them against the side so they're thinner and they dissolve
I
easier.
can smush.
There you go.
Want to put some more coconut oil in there?
Put some more of that in there.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
And coconut oil makes it lather really nice, doesn't
It
it?
does.
It's very good for the skin, too.
Yes, and it makes a nice hard soap
Mm-hmm.
so that it lasts longer when it's harder. Okay, we've almost added all our coconut oil, and Mom's still blending.
Yeah,
So
but it's dissolving. It's made
Yeah.
beautiful, creamy. All the nice big white chunks of shortening's dissolving real nice.
Just gonna scrape the last bit of the shortening and coconut oil in here. And then we're going to pour our olive oil. We've measured this out. This is the 16 ounces of olive oil.
Olive oil's wonderful for the skin, too.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Very moisturizing. And while Mom's stirring, I'm pouring. And tell them about how wonderful homemade soaps are and why.
Well, homemade soaps are different. One of the reasons they haven't had the glycerin extracted from them, like commercial soaps, you know, they just naturally extract glycerin out of the soap. This homemade soap has the glycerin, we have olive oil, we have coconut oil, we have all wonderful, wonderful ingredients, all natural, fantastically natural, soothing to the skin, healing even. Olive oil is actually healing. Well, so is coconut oil, really, isn't it?
It is.
So it's really a wonderful, wonderful soap, and it's a much better soap.
Yes, because you know what's gone into it. It's pure, and you've made it so you can be proud of it. And see how it's turned from liquid to now it's creamy.
It's really
This
nice.
is great. We're just going to mash these up and Usually I wait till they dissolve before I get the stick blender out. But we might just go ahead because that would help break some of them up too. I think we're just going to go ahead and... I like to always keep these shortening containers on hand to stick your stirring utensils in.
Because you want to be careful once again.
Yes, because this is caustic. This whole batch here is still hot and it would still burn if you got it on your skin. So you don't want to be splashing or...
And also with the stick blender, make sure that you're not turning it on or off above. You know, you want to, when you put it in there, don't pull it out on. Turn it off before you pull it out so you don't splatter everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. Turn this on. There we go.
And I just use a low setting on this. There we go. See how it's dissolving those?
It's creamy. That's really pretty. Just remember not to bring it out of the pot. We'll have soap everywhere if we did that.
Okay, turn it off for a second.
Okay.
Now, what we're waiting for here is we want this soap to get really thick. We want it to get so thick that when we bring this up, or even if you're stirring with a spoon, when you bring your spoon up, you want to see a trail or a trace, and that's what they call tracing. And that's what we're waiting for this soap to do, is trace. And that's the point when it's ready to pour. So that's what we're trying to do here, is thicken it up. Let me get this out. Okay, let me see. Okay, and this is a really critical point in your soap making, because if it traces, it starts setting up really fast, and so that's the point where you want to have it ready to pour into your molds, and you don't want it to get too thick into the pot, or you'll have a hard bar soap. One big
one, right. It's almost. How's it going?
It's very
almost,
close.
Huh? This is where the patients come in.
Yes. Okay, let me test it again. Just take my spoon out. Still not leaving a trail.
Not quite yet.
That's not quite ready. We're going to mix a little bit more.
Boy.
Okay,
almost.
I think it's ready to add our additives. Okay, see when you lift up the spoon, you can see that trail?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's very faint, but it's still there. See how thick it is?
It's like it makes a design on top, right?
Right, an impression. It leaves the impression, and that's tracing. And here again we have our container to put this in. I'm going to carefully set that to the side. And we use our hand stir. Yep. That's thick enough. You can see the...
We can see a little trail, little trace.
Trail.
Okay, great.
Now we're going to bring this over to our soap mold. Very carefully.
Okay.
It's nice to have it close or even right there, because you've got to do that very carefully. Okay. Now we could pour this soap just like it is into our mold and it would be fine, but I like to do something a little special. So this is the point after it's traced, and you need to have these things ready. If you are going to add your additives, you want to have them ready, because otherwise this would set up too fast and you'll be scrambling around trying to get them. But I like to put oats in my soap, and oats make it nice and moisturizing, and they also add a little, hardness to kind of being a little abrasive or something. So while Mom's stirring, I'm just going to add, this is like maybe 1.5 cups of oats.
It's softens skin too, I think, oats. That's nice.
Well, and then I like it to smell nice.
Oh, it's like cooking a big old pot of oatmeal, huh?
It is. I'm going to add a little bit of nutmeg essential oil.
Oh.
Just going to add a few ounces, because I'm also going to add a little bit of cinnamon oil.
Oh, that's going to smell so nice.
And it's so nice to have Mom stirring this here because
It's hard to
otherwise I'd be worrying about it setting up too fast. Because once it traces, it really sets up. And I like to add some cinnamon or pumpkin pie spice. This just makes a nice color for the soap. And I just add a few, maybe 1 or 2 teaspoons. You can kind of eye it. It'll, you know, turn your soap a little brown. And this will fade a little bit. So you can, you know, add it until it's a little darker than what you think because it's going to fade just a tad.
Now when we let it sit, are we going to have it right there?
We could even get the stick blender to blend in some of this.
Okay. It smells, it really smells nice. I still don't want to get too close. That is really nice. And Jasmine, when we pour it, we might have to pour it off the,
Okay.
I can take mine out now. Oh, that looks good. It smells good, doesn't it? It's going to be beautiful.
There we go. We don't want to spend too long on that because we don't want it to thicken up too fast. It's perfect now. See the
tracing?
It's making a nice trail.
You want me to get that for you?
I'll get it because I'm going this way with.
Oh, that is, that's going to be beautiful. It really looks nice already.
And the thing I like about using a spatula is because you need one at this point anyway, so I go ahead and stir with it too in the beginning. So I have it all ready for when we go to pour. I'll let you
Now this will stay for a while.
Spatula. And we're going to very carefully
Okay.
and slowly pour this in our greased mold. We have our mold already greased.
Very greased. What'd you use to grease this one?
I used a little bit of coconut oil. You can use vegetable oil or vegetable shortening. You just want something that coats it really nice so it'll come out of the mold easier. And we scrape every little bit of soap because we've put some work into this and nice ingredients, so we want to get it all into the mold.
Good. Oh, that is nice.
There we go. And then we're going to cover it like we said earlier so this cools down slowly. And we're going to get this blanket. Thank you. Going to put the blanket over there so it's well insulated. So this will cool down slowly and saponify and turn into wonderful, beautiful bars of soap. And we'll let this sit. We'll probably check in about 30 minutes to see if it's ready to cut into bars. Because after it starts hardening up, it gets harder and harder and harder. After a while, you won't be able to cut it into bars, so you want to check it every 30 minutes or so. It usually takes about an hour to an hour and a half to set up enough to cut into bars.
Those are pretty easy steps.
They are. Okay, it's been a couple of hours and we've been checking our soap ever so often. And I brought Cece in to help me with the cutting and stacking. So we're going to lift our cover off. And the way I check the soap is I just gently touch it. And you want to remember that this is still caustic. So rinse your hand off right away. And I think it's ready enough to cut, don't you, Cece?
Yes, it looks like it.
This could get even harder. And some people like to pop this whole thing out at one time and then cut it while it's just sitting on a table. It's a little easier to do. But you know, we've just cut it right in here for years. And you can just use a knife. They do make little cutting tools. Make it a little bit easier, but this knife is going to work just fine. I'm just going to cut. You can make these as big or as small as you want. Okay, we're just going to continue cutting lengthwise. Once we do that, we're going to cut this way, and so we have bars of soap. There we go. And if you want to make some big and some small, you can do that. It's just all up to you. This is your soap. There we go, and that's the cutting part. And then what we do after this is after it hardens a little bit more, because it's still a little soft, but it was perfect to cut, we'd pop it out, and then after we pop it out, we'd stack it to dry and to finish curing. It needs to dry and cure for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, the soap that you've worked hard and created is ready for you to use and enjoy.
For homesteaders long ago, soap making was an annual chore.
They made all their soap on one day to last the whole year long.
The fat from a freshly butchered hog was rendered in a big iron kettle outside over an open fire to make lard.
Wood ashes were collected and placed in an ash hopper. As the rainwater was poured through, a form of lye was made.
Then the lard and lye were mixed with rainwater and poured into huge wooden boxes and then cut into large bars. While soap making was a necessity then, now we can make it for the sheer fun of it.
And create natural, healthy bars of soap.
Now we'd like to show you how to make simple remilled soap. I love to make remilled soap. I make beautiful little cakes of soap and shells of soap and little turtles. With remilled soap, it's just an easy way to make all kinds of different soaps, to add additives and scents and everything. And this is how we start it. We start by using an ordinary bar of soap. And you can order your soap or you can make your soap. And what we do next is we start grating it. This grating is very easy to do. I'm going to turn that over to Cece while I show you. She's going to be grating that soap. And when you grate it, and make sure you do hand grate it. I've tried it in the blender before. It does not work. You have to guess that's why they call it hand milled, okay? When you hand milled it, it causes the soap, when we heat it up, it causes it really to be a harder, better soap. And what's nice is I can just start with a plain soap, and I'll show you how I will add lavender and make a nice lavender soap. I'm going to make a coffee cake soap. Isn't that cute? In just a few seconds, we're going to make a cute little coffee cake soap by using just regular old coffee right here on my stove. So, Cece's gotten some of her soap milled up, and what we're going to do now is there's a certain amount. What has happened is I've made this so much that I know how much soap goes into this pot, and I usually take my grated soap, but Cecilia's going to give you the measurements.
All right, 1 pound of soap, you want about 12 ounces of water, right, Mom?
That's right. Now, I'm not going to use water right now, though, because I'm going to make coffee soap. I'm going to make like a coffee cake, like this little coffee cake there. I thought that was real neat. Yeah.
Looks like you could eat it.
Yeah, it does. And sometimes you have to put "do not eat" on there. But right now, what I'm going to do is I've already got my soap measured in my favorite soap pot here, and I'll probably need a stir, you know, like a wooden spoon or something. And I've already got my coffee. Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Cece. I've already got my coffee, and I don't have to worry about grounds because it makes the soap a lot nicer and more interesting. Since this soap, and I've just noticed it just wasn't real hard, I probably won't have to add a whole lot just right now. I'll put the heat on. We're going to turn it on. A lot of times people do use a double boiler, but I found that if I put the heat very low for my remilled soap, it does just wonderful. Just make sure you keep stirring so that you don't burn or scald your soap on the bottom. See the color? I probably want to use a little more. I could probably even use some hot water in there. And yes, please. Thank you, hon. And I'll just stir this coffee in there. Now, the reason I like to make coffee soap is because it smells good, of course. Here, just go ahead and let me, not only does it smell good, but around, like if you're making fish or onions, cooking with fish and onions and things like that, and you've got that smell on your hands, you can use a bar of coffee soap, and it's an odor eater. It will take those smells off your hands. Okay. What's going to happen is it's going to really start getting real soft in a minute. And when it does, then it's going to be easy to pour. Now I've pretty much got all my coffee in there. And for coffee soap or coffee cakes, that's what we're making right now, that's about all I need. I don't need to put any more scents or anything, so that's a blessing. This coffee, oh, it's going to just smell wonderful, okay? And here it goes. It's getting real liquidy.
Yep.
Yep. And it just takes a little while. And actually, you can pour it almost just like this. The nice thing about remilled soap is that it pours very, very easy in the mold. It almost makes a better molded soap than scratch soap. And also, another thing about milled soap is it gets hard. You know, after it's made, it stays harder longer. It lasts a little bit longer. Yeah, it's real sought after. Some places are fancy. It's a fancy soap, and sometimes it's called French milled soap.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now you see how nice and smooth that is? I think we can pour that right now.
Okay.
It still has some chunks in it, but those chunks are going to get just as hard. This is sort of very, very, this is a very easy project to do with your children even, because it's so easy and relaxed. You know, there's no, yeah. You could use a spoon. I'm going to try to go like this.
Do we need a spoon?
Now, in these little molds, I will show you, this is like a little plastic, but the plastic's a nice hard plastic, but it would be pliable, so when I want to get it out, I'll be able to get it out real easy. I don't think let me try this. I'm going to pour this in these molds. If I get a little on the outside, it's okay. It'll just look more like you can make muffins too. And you'd put cinnamon and maybe different things in that. I know this seems really too easy to be true, but it is. Now, thank you, Cece. Now what I like to do, we're going to do a little bit more of this because I'm going to pour some in. What I like to do to get the bubbles out is I like to tap it like this, and we're going to put this in the refrigerator, the freezer. And would you open up the freezer for me, Cece?
Yes.
We're going to put this in the freezer. Maybe you can get it open for me. And what this is going to do, this is really a wonderful thing, this is going to cause it to set really fast. Using the same principle, we're going to do lavender soap now. We can turn the coffee off and put it away. It smells like, if you could smell it.
Now we need water for that.
We'll need a little bit of water, not a lot. We'll go ahead and put a pound of soap in this pot. And I believe if you didn't want to freeze your soap, you could just let it sit. It would be fine. The freezing, what it does, it makes it just happen a little quicker, and I need that kind of grated up right there. I'm going to just put a little bit of water in here. And a lot of times people use fragrances, and I rather use pure essential oils, especially for gifts for others. Do I have a little bit I can put in there now?
Yep.
Thank you. Put a little more soap in here, and this will make about a pound here. I can just eye it. This is wonderful. Once you start making soaps like this, you can make orange soap and lavender soap and all kinds, peppermint soap. It's just wonderful. You can put herbs in the soap, make herbal soaps. It's fantastic. So I think that little bit more just in case. And we won't use the essential oils till later on. And we need to heat this up a little bit. Then we will have our mold ready over here. And pretty soon, we'll pour our lavender in there, lavender soap. I'm just going to get this going here. Put a little bit of water in here. I like to get it hot too. And once again, this is like a nice white soap, and I do like white soap for my lavender. That'll look really nice. And you could, you know, do like a lavender's blue or more of a purple soap with different colorants if you'd like.
Could you use food coloring?
I believe you can, but I really like to I just like to leave it white with lavender. Yeah, natural. Yeah. I love natural. So Okay, you should give me a little bit of that water. That'll help this melt. Oh, I know what I've got. There we go.
More?
No, let's just get this, if I can get this high right here. I have the right one, there we go. Okay. There we go. And I'm going to use a little more water. That'll just keep it from sticking on the bottom and it'll start melting.
So when do you add your oils?
At the very last.
So your scent will stay in longer?
Right before I pour it, I'll be adding the lavender oil. It won't really cool, it will just not get any hotter. Because if we could put it in real hot soap like right now, all the essential oils would just dissipate. And we don't want that. Although I don't scent them real heavy. This one's taking just a little bit longer. But it's good to be patient with it because in just a minute it'll make beautiful, beautiful soap. You know the container that's a little square, maybe a little smaller than this over in the sink, we might use that one because it looks to me like this is gonna need a smaller container. You might have to put some, make sure that you grease your containers really good with coconut oil or shortening is great. Get them greased up real good so your soaps come out nice. When you put them in the freezer too, that helps them pop out real good. Okay, here it goes. It's getting really nice and melted now.
Oh, it looks really pretty.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Creamy.
And we have a place right here that you want to grease that up really good.
Okay.
There we go. Here it is. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Look, it's really, I've still got some big chunks in here, but if I'm patient, now this would make really nice, intricate molds, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
Sometimes this soap, this is a little slow, but many times this soap just melts right away. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put it in.
Don't you want your lavender oil?
Yes, want the lavender oil, want all the burners off. And we even should take this, maybe put this right here for it to be cooling. And we can add some lavender. Want to do that for me?
Here, I'll stir it.
Okay, you stir, okay. I love lavender.
I don't want to pour too much.
Now, it does take a little bit, and that's delicious.
That smells so good.
That blessing. Just stir that in real good. I'm going to go ahead and put a little more. About an ounce usually. Okay. There we go. I'm going to put this up for Mom. And hopefully and prayerfully that wasn't too hot. Now we're going to pour it, and sometimes hand Mama that towel right there. You might want a little bit of a pot holder or towel. You don't. It just would be very hot if it slipped. There we go. Now this is going to pour right in this mold. Now this mold should get me a couple of nice bars of soap. And this would be very nice to give, or like I said, you could use it in home industry. I like to make my milled soaps gifts because I know I can make it special for somebody. You can scrape some more out of there. Oh, you do all that work, you want to get every bit of it. Thank you, hon.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now, once again, we're going to be putting this. Once again, we want to do the air bubble thing. You want to do the air bubble thing?
Yeah.
A lot of times when you tap it like that, you can see the air bubbles coming up to the top. There,
Yep,
there was one. That's great. Okay. Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Now it goes in the freezer?
Yeah. And just take it in there real steady. When you do your remilled soap, you can use little containers. These are candy molds. And you take your little candy molds, and I'm just going to wipe this up real quick here. That will be fine. Take your little candy molds, take your remilled soap, pour it in the molds, put them in the refrigerator for about 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and pop them out. And they come out very easy. And you've got seashell soap. Isn't that pretty? I love that. And the same, I got some turtles. I got a little turtle
Now,
candy
how did
mold.
you make them green?
Well, I added a little chlorophyll. I melted my soap down, added a little water. Actually, I added a little chlorophyll water. I bought some chlorophyll from a health food store, and I use that for my greens so it would be, whoa,
They just popped right
they're
out.
really popping out. They're just falling out. So I have my little turtles, and I have my little shells, and just in a few minutes we're going to have lavender soap, and that's how easy it is. What I'd like to do for my coffee soap, I call them coffee cakes, is I get the little, you know, the little cups. I think they make muffins and cupcakes with these little cups. And I buy a bunch of these, and I just have them around, so when I make my little coffee cake, when they come out, I'm going to put them in like this and get the little cup there. Cece, thank you so much.
You're
thank
welcome.
you. And just make it a little present. That is a sweet little gift for somebody. You would like it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Just have to put do not eat, right?
Right.
Okay. So all we have to do now is wait for our soap in the freezer to get nice and firm, and we'll pop that out. Okay, let's see if the soap's ready to get out of the freezer. All right, I think this is ready.
I think this one's ready too.
Okay, great. And we've kind of scored the, kind of took a knife and scored here where I want to cut it. These are going to be really natural looking, aren't they?
Yeah.
Nice coffee soaps.
So how long does it take to dry?
A couple of days. And
a
it's
few
ready.
days?
Yep, that's
Oh, wow.
about it. And I'm being very, okay, now I want to make sure it comes out. You want to do the honors? It's kind of fun and exciting. You never know how it's going to turn out.
You just flip it over?
Yeah.
It's popping out.
It'll come. This is the fun part, right?
Yep.
Got a little work here.
Got one
Let's
stubborn
just-
one in there.
There we
All
go.
right.
Oh, those
wow.
are nice.
So pretty.
They smell, what do they smell like to you?
Coffee.
Coffee. Oh, they almost look like they're good enough to eat. Now these will shrink a little bit. That's okay. And we can trim them. And
Now for our muffins.
can I do this one? You want to do this one?
No, go
so
ahead.
much fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the fun part for children for sure, because I'm a big
Oh, wow.
kid, right? Yeah, this one. There we go. Now I see that the coffee settled on the outside. It's really pretty neat looking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of swirled. Isn't that neat? Oh, one more. Okay. That is really neat. Isn't that wonderful? Okay. Now, we'll just let these, smell that one. Woo. Boy, we'll just, we can trim now if we want. Just a little trim like that. Or we could wait a little while. It'll probably stay soft enough to trim a little later. I'm going to make these into little coffee cakes like this. Isn't that cute?
Yep.
Somebody will just want to eat them, won't they?
Yep.
But they will make wonderful odor eaters. Yep. And so we'll put these on a tray. It's good to put them on a tray where the air and maybe even a fan, you know. You could put a fan on it to help it dry out. But that's how you make hand milled soap. Now we'd like to make some soap balls. You can make herbal soap balls or coffee soap balls. You can make all kinds of wonderful soap balls. And I guess one of the reasons I love to make soap balls is because my grandmother used to take all the soap scraps and she made soap balls. And
Those look really easy to
yeah,
make.
oh, they're very easy to make. We're going to make it right now. We're going to make lavender soap balls, and that's sort of an herbal soap ball. And just like our remilled soaps, we're going to grate our soap.
Do you want me to grate
our
some
soap
more?
ball? Yeah, would you
All
grate
right.
just a little bit more? And I already have some here grated up. It's going to be so nice. Now, once again, I like to, the texture of this soap is so moist, I don't even need water. But if you're making soap balls and your soap is a little dry, you might want to add a little water. A little warm water is fine.
You just add it until it starts sticking
together? Yeah, until it starts doing this kind of thing. So this is what we're going to do.
Is this, do you want the whole bar grated?
Go ahead, grate the whole bar, have fun. I'm also, a lot of times you can use little herbs if you want to. I like these little globe flowers. They're like a little straw flower. And what I love about them is they're so purple and they're so dark. When I cut them, I'm going to roll my little soap ball in that just a little bit. I don't want too much. You don't want to put too many herbal ingredients usually in your soap balls because you don't want your soap balls to crumble apart. So just for a little color, I'm going to have this ready and we're going to try. Now, what I'd like to do,
add this to here?
Yeah, I'd like to kind of add this. This is some different soaps, and
so are you just adding different soaps so you'll have enough, or is there a purpose for that, or what?
I just want to get a even blend.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you see how moist that is?
Yeah.
Okay, Hannah, just start
digging in.
This is so neat. Yeah. This is a wonderful, wonderful activity for young folks.
It's fun to do with other people or do with your mom.
Yeah.
How big are we going to make these?
I like to make them like a meatball.
Except you can't eat these.
No, don't eat these. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start putting just a little bit of color.
Oh,
just a little bit of color in here. Okay, isn't that nice? Yeah. Let's spread it out just a little bit. And then I'm going to start pressing it together to get the air out. And I'm going to start making almost like a meatball here.
Except with soap and flowers.
This could have maybe used a little more water.
I was thinking
Go ahead and get a little warm
Okay.
water, Hannah. I can still probably do it. I have to work on it a little bit. And get a little round. There's a soap ball right there. See?
Tell me how much.
So what I like to do is I like to put it on a tray where it will air dry. They will dry for a few days.
How
Just
much?
sprinkle a tad. Maybe a little more. Yeah,
Like
this
that
is
much?
okay. Not much more than that, because then we'll have spaghetti.
We'll have a bubble bath here if we keep adding water.
Yeah, and you know, you could make these a little larger if you want to, but
yeah, I guess you can probably just make them whatever size you want.
You can make jumbo soap balls if you want.
Soap balls.
Look at that. Isn't that nice? And they'll dry just fine, even if you get your hands. This is just therapeutic for me. I'm telling you, I love it. Okay. Look how cute that little, see how nice that little straw flower puts that color in there. So pretty.
We used it up
there you
fast.
go.
Do you want to start cutting
And
up some
actually,
more flowers, Mom?
is this, well, I'll have to wash my hands. You're having too much fun with this soap, aren't you? Okay, I have to wash my hands a little.
I'll cut up the flowers. You can
Thank you.
There you go.
So I love to smash and this is basically it, y'all. You take your soap.
So easy to do.
Yes, isn't this wonderful? And these make wonderful gifts. You'd want these to dry for about 2 or 3 days, just like your regular milled soap. This is a milled soap, actually, you know, a hand milled soap.
So it's kind of like just another version of hand milled soap.
It's another version. But this is a really nice, simple thing to do.
And can't you use rose petals or lavender or just about any kind of little flower you want? Sure, you could.
I just had these on hand, and they grew in my garden so nice this year. It was such a blessing. And I said, boy, I like that color. It's nice and bright.
They are really pretty
beautiful
bright color.
And when we get through, then you can probably go switch right over to making some more of these. I'm going to wash my hands off.
Now, did you add the lavender essential oil to the already milled soap?
Well, no, but we could do that right now.
I bet that would make it smell really good if we
let's
did
do
that.
that right now. Thank you, Hannah. Get this bowl out of the way. Put this back down. Move this bowl. Now this lavender essential oil, we won't have to put a lot in there because
just what, a few drops?
You could measure if you want, but this is what a lot of herbalists say, is less is best.
Yeah, just have more of just a hint of it, then you don't want an overpowering smell of lavender. Oh, that smells so good. Nice. Oh my goodness. And lavender is also a real relaxing scent. I don't know, it just It seems
is. It's a relaxing herb, as a matter of fact. It's good for headaches and all kinds of tension and things like that. Okay, now we have the
really
smell.
tense day, you can make lavender soap balls.
Right, and just calm down. So with soap and these soap balls, which is such a blessing, we have something that looks beautiful, and we have something that smells beautiful
too.
And when they dry, they're going to feel beautiful, right?
And they're so much fun to make.
Yeah, cover the
super
senses.
easy.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
So is that it? It's that simple?
That's it. That's simple. Isn't that? Aren't they beautiful?
I think
when you can package them, you can package them all different kinds of ways. You can put them in a jar, and they look real cute in the bathroom, stacked in a jar, and then you put the lid on. It looks real nice, and you can, put a bow and put them in cellophane.
Can use it for gift. I bet you can put it in a gift basket.
Put them in your little soap trays. They're just precious. Herbal soap balls.
This smells so good.
And now here we are with some of our finished soaps, packaged and ready to go. But some of our soaps are not quite so finished. So I want to show you real quickly, and the girls are going to help me. We're going to show you a few tips in trimming your bars after they have cured for 2 weeks, or if they're remilled, it'll be just a few days. You can simply trim your bar soap. This table's nice because we can just trim right on it and clean it up. Soap will already be there, right? Trim them with just a little knife. Hannah's going to grate a piece of soap, and she's going to show you how nice a plain piece of soap can turn into a beauty bar. Matter of fact, you ought to trade soaps.
Yeah,
why don't you try
try
that?
this one.
There you go.
You can take just a plain bar of soap like this and take a regular cheese grater. Just kind of grate the edges, all 4 edges here. Just a little bit. You don't have to do it very much. And then the top of it. And the bottom.
Isn't that pretty? It's a little texture.
And it gives it a unique look, and it doesn't just look like a boring old bar of soap.
So that's a nice little thing you can
nice
do.
touch.
And so what we'd like to show you now is just show you an example of the different packaging you can do. You can put some soap balls in a little nest, and you can take a plain white bar of soap and put a beautiful bow that you can get from a department store very easily and wrap that up, and it looks kind of elegant. You can take wallpaper and wrap your soap up in wallpaper. You can take a little bucket and fill it with some soap and put it in your bathroom, and it's just beautiful. You can just a simple little pie pan like this and put your soaps out. You can use your imagination about containers for your soap. I found this little container at a yard sale, and I just thought it was so precious, and so I put in some little hand-milled soaps in there, little chocolate soaps. I thought that went real well. We can take a plain bar soap like this and put one of our shells that we made, and we have a beautiful bar soap that looks a little different than just a plain bar soap. This is just an idea and an example of all the different things that y'all can do, and you can use your imagination to make beautiful, beautiful, lovely, good-smelling, good-looking homemade soap.
Thank you for joining us for the soap making adventure.
We trust that you've learned some valuable skills and techniques that can help you make beautiful soaps for friends and family.
And we hope you've had fun. We have.
Until next time, we're the West family, wishing God's best to you and your home from Homestead Blessings.
Excited about showing you how fun and easy soap making can be.
Long ago, soap was made in every household. It was a long and involved. Sorry, I forgot the word.
And action.
Sorry.
Wasn't that Jasmine's cue?
Thank you for joining us for this soap making adventure.
We trust that you've learned some valuable skills and techniques that